Welcome back, everyone, to the Movie Schmovie podcast. What episode is this, Ronald?
45.
45. If you notice, the one prior to this, we did that little half episode.
Yeah, we did.
At the great idea of Sir
half.
John Walker.
I like that.
We got fractional.
Yeah.
We did.
It wasn't important enough to give the whole number, so we kind of gave it a half.
But we got some good feedback from it. You know what it is? I'm trying not to turn my head.
Don't become weird about it.
He's going to be really awkward.
Don't become Michael Keaton Batman about it.
He's like looking at me through the side of his face right now.
But before we started recording, I gave Ronald I thought I was being really gentle, but apparently it was a stern lecture about
now he's very paranoid about it.
Not turning his head towards
I feel
Steve.
like I have a neck cast on.
But I think we both look towards Steve for guidance and kind of a paternal role in the podcast.
I do what I can. Do what I can.
Literally and figuratively, right?
I think
it covers the both
look
bases,
towards you physically.
you said the word right, but you said it like you were saying it wrong.
I said it like a person who has the top portion of their head open, and you press down on my brain. I'm like,
That's probably why I always have the hat on, covering that up, right?
Because my brain is exposed.
The soft spot in your skull is
Right.
exposed.
So
we're gonna get back to this is a straight up episode this time.
Yeah.
Getting into some deep conversation. I don't even know where this is gonna go right now.
I'm riled up. I feel like it's been a long time.
I packed a sleeping bag
Wow, it's not gonna be an hour and a half episode
and
though.
a first aid kit.
A first aid kit,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
just in case some fists start flying.
So, what movies have everybody seen besides the one we're going to cover? The ones we're going to cover.
Well, I saw a Adam Sandler film, the most recent of which was now on DVD. Besides the one John's going to talk about, That's My Boy, which was Andy Samberg. A lot of the normal Adam Sandler crew is in this film as well. Leighton Meester's in it. But I don't know. I'd heard a lot about the movie. I never got to see it in theaters, so I figured I'd give it a chance. Coming out on DVD soon.
Thoughts?
What really kind of made me want to like it or even try to see it and like it was the idea that, hey, this is another Adam Sandler R film. I absolutely have no interest in any of the other movies that he's really put out in the past 5 years. I guess that very generic, broad, adult, PG-13 family stuff like Jack and Jill and I don't even remember Grown Ups, all those movies. But I guess the idea of going back to an R film made me think of movies like Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, movies that I really enjoyed when I was, a teenager. But this is not that movie. It has the R feel. They go for the language and, there's boobs in it and there's, I guess the subject matter is kind of in line with those movies, but it's a weird blend of what those movies were in terms of how ripe and fresh that comedy was back then, mixed with his comedy now, which is what he tries to go for laughs in movies like Grown Ups and Jack and Jill, and it's super cheesy, and a lot of things just fall flat in my opinion. There are a couple funny scenes, a couple funny beats. Andy Samberg has a couple good moments.
I was going to ask if Andy Samberg brought anything to it, because I like him a lot.
I feel like there's moments where you almost feel like he's gonna take over the scene, but Adam Sandler's character is just so loud and so out there that I don't think he has the chance to even step up and really kind of have his own moment in the movie. There's some funny little 80s references, and I mean the whole idea in the movie is that Adam Sandler had an affair with his high school math teacher, who by the way is played by Eva Amari, who is Susan Sarandon's daughter. Susan Sarandon plays the older version of her. Eva Amari, oh my God, she is gorgeous.
Really?
You know who this girl is? Look her up now.
I definitely think I've seen her in something.
She was in Californication with David Duchovny for a season.
How do you spell the last name?
I think it's Amarri. But I mean, absolutely gorgeous. And then, of course, Susan Sarandon looks amazing for her age.
This is like we actually, for the first time,
I stumped him.
But we have a countdown to him saying something inappropriate about a woman because he's
looking it up.
He's looking
right
her
now.
up on his iPad.
I haven't.
And anyway, so that's the idea that he has an affair with this teacher as a student. I think he's like in middle school or something.
How's it coming, Ronald?
And
How do you spell her name?
I think it's Amarri. I'm not sure. Look up Susan Sarandon's daughter. But anyway, he has a kid with her, and he can't raise him, so Andy Samberg's character goes off, changes his name, starts a new life because he was a horrible father, and he finds him later on because he needs money. And I mean, it's kind of like that whole situation.
Oh, I know her. She looks a lot like her.
Yeah, which is why they probably have her playing.
Man, she has a pair of dummies on her.
There it is.
There we go.
We missed the little countdown, but there it was.
All right, so I'm gonna leave you with something about this movie.
Yeah, please do.
I'm gonna let this statement sit in your chests, sit in your souls. Adam Sandler is the white Eddie Murphy. Let it sink in. He used to make great movies.
You're talking about Andy Sand?
No, Adam Sandler.
Okay.
There it is.
Is the white Eddie Murphy.
Well, I was about to
Were
say,
her big dummies?
yeah.
Were they distracting you?
Yeah, they
you
were.
mixed up the
just
leads?
call him Andy Sandley or something.
Sandler. Okay, yeah, but he's become
Standley Dandley.
sort of like a parody of himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's weird because whenever
But I don't know that I ever was privy to a moment when he wasn't a parody of himself. I think Eddie Murphy had kind of a period where he was like, like a viable leading man in movies that weren't like Eddie Murphy movies top to bottom.
Absolutely,
you know, and then he kind of went into what you might call a Sandler phase of doing these really lowbrow.
Now it's like
comedies.
weird. It's like these. He used to have dimensions to the comedy. Now it's just those weird loud portions.
Well, that's what the one thing. Does he do a crazy voice in this? Is he doing?
Oh, absolutely. The whole film, he has this horrible, like Boston,
God,
like just raspy, like white trash voice. You know,
Yeah.
you've probably seen it in another movie. I
Never has someone with more limited range done more like extreme character work.
Right,
You know,
right? It's so weird.
But advise, stay away. I mean, if you watch it, make sure your friend rents it.
I mean,
and
I don't
you
even.
pay for it.
I'm coming off like I hate Adam Sandler. I don't. I found him
hate
funny
him either.
before.
Oh, me
I
too.
just
Me
feel like
too.
he's one of those people that that churns him out, and I think that you can really see that the effect of that on his career. That it's like there's no way. Like none of them are big enough flops to stop him from making another.
That's it.
That's
I guess he
And
makes
some
him-
of them are huge.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
like Grown Ups.
Yeah.
Massive success. There's already a sequel coming out
Right,
for it.
right. You
So
can't-
wait for that.
And he seems like a guy who works with his friends, and I mean, there's so
Yeah,
many things about what he
yeah.
does that I like in theory.
Yeah.
But the actual movies just seem so lazy and kind of
They've gotten
uninspired.
so
Well, I mean, it's that same kind of energy that if, to sort of piggyback on top of that, the movie that I saw that's not one of our big topics this week. I took Henry to go see Hotel Transylvania. And, I kind of knew it was going to be a lot of like bathroom humor and fart jokes and stuff like that. Just because I could tell it didn't scream like Pixar quality or even DreamWorks quality. But the character design seemed kind of appealing. And I do think when you get the right comedy voice actors in a movie like that, there's always the chance that it could be really funny.
Yeah.
So, it's not a lifeless movie at all. And in fact, visually, I think the direction by, I don't know if it's Jindy or Gindi Tartakovsky.
Yeah.
The guy who created Samurai Jack and also did those 2D Clone Wars cartoons a few years back for Cartoon Network.
Yeah, those were
and
really
then,
good.
he was one of the people that created Dexter's Laboratory, too. And there's another show he had called Symbiotic Titan. So he's a very striking visual animation director. And this is the first thing I know of that he's done that was 3D or, full CG instead of 2D animation. And it was visually, there were some times where just you could tell the compositions or the way that the camera moves were, or the virtual camera moves were created. It had a real energy to it, and it had a real, I don't know, just a good sense of action in the sequences where you would have a lot of action. So it kept kind of visually, kind of getting my attention back, even though the plot was. Again, we've all seen those animated movies that you can sort of say, oh, this is kind of for grown-ups. This really felt like it was for very juvenile grown-ups.
Yeah.
And I ended up thinking to myself, kind of what you were saying, Steve, about current Adam Sandler. It just started to strike me that, this is not an animated film. This is an Adam Sandler film that sort of happens to be animated. Because, all the voice actors were, it was David Spade and Kevin James and kind of his crew.
Yeah.
And people that can be very funny. And there are moments that were genuinely funny. My son actually loved it. He's right at farts are like bullseyes for him right now in terms of comedy value. So
funny. I'm kind of the same way.
with Ronald, right?
I think a movie we're going to talk about in a minute here, which I think is a great film, has a fart joke in it.
I haven't even seen that one, but I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Man, I'm thinking.
Yeah, he's
The Master has a fart joke.
Oh, yes, it
Yes,
did.
it does. So anyway,
light bulb just went off.
Not to jump
man.
topics completely,
There were a
but
lot of weird-
but there's good evidence that you can do a fart joke, and you can have a classic film that has a fart joke in it. There's nothing against fart jokes,
Right.
but this Hotel Transylvania is not an example of one that transcends the fart genre.
Right. I saw a movie called Relentless Sword. Man, this
John sees Hotel Transylvania. I see That's My Boy, and you see Relentless Sword.
Yeah.
I feel like you always find these, I don't know,
We're
where do you
serious
find
movie
them?
buffs here on this show.
This movie was crap, man. I'm not even going to talk about it for long. It was just a really bad movie with that was on wires. It's just, I don't know. I don't even want to talk about it.
That's it?
That's it, man.
That's all you're going to tell us?
You seem kind of brokenhearted about it.
It was weird, man. It was like...
Let's keep in mind, you chose to watch it.
It's cool. So the plot of it...
You got past the title Relentless Sword and actually clicked watch.
I thought it was... So this guy dies, or so he thinks he dies, and he's like in this thing called midheaven, and he realizes that he wasn't supposed to be there. So then he meets his wife, who was murdered because she was a witch. The thing is, when you go to
that old story,
but of course,
when you go to midheaven, you don't have any memories of your past as you live. So he's in love with this woman who doesn't remember him, has all these memories with her, had babies with her, and she doesn't remember anything. So it's like about that. That's a amazing like idea.
Mm-hmm.
It started off amazing. Then I realized there was going to be no fighting in it. It's called Relentless Sword. The sword was used maybe 3 times in the movie. It was frustrating. So I do not suggest that movie.
Wow.
I feel depressed just from hearing
I know,
this
that story about midheaven, no memories.
Right. It was really
It's
cool.
sad.
It was a cool idea, and it just fell flat on his face. It was too much CG.
What made it cross your path?
You know, you go to the mall and they have like the martial arts kiosk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's like, you gotta see this movie. This movie will blow your fucking mind.
He was talking through his teeth like you are.
I'm really a big fan of talking through your teeth
Yeah.
to emphasize something. It's
It
an
works. It
intensity
works.
about it.
Come over here. Let me
This is between you and me right now.
Between you and me. Shut the hell up. I love that. Anyway.
Did he bully
said
you
that?
into buying that movie, Ron?
Right. So she bought it. She bought it. She was convinced it was
He
oppressive.
bullied her into it.
Yeah. So we watched it and it was pure poop.
Let me tell you about our new releases.
Yeah. It was Mandarin, but it sounded like it had some Japanese. It was just very, I don't know. Poop that movie.
All right. Well, that's 3 not so good films.
Right.
Yes.
And hopefully we can transition now. And I'll let you two take the first one because, I mean, unfortunately, I wasn't able to see this film yet, which I'm very sorry about.
Haha.
Yeah, so you can have the pleasure of discussing it. I'll chime in
will
with what I
discuss
do
it
know.
in as respectful and non-spoilery a fashion as possible, Steve.
Much appreciated.
But we were talking about possibly my most awaited movie of the year,
Same.
and that's Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was excited as well. You know, There Will Be Blood, Boogie Nights. I was excited.
Yeah.
This was a bit different because it takes place in like, what is it? After World War II.
He's moving slowly forward through history after There Will Be
Right.
Blood. So There Will Be Blood, around the turn of the century. This is mid-century.
Mid-century. So it takes place in right after World War II.
Yeah, pretty much begins right at the end of World War II.
Right. We're following Freddie, and he's just gotten out of the war.
Well, before we see him even get out of the war, we know right from the beginning this Freddie, he's a weird guy.
Oh yeah,
He's mixing up like jet fuel and paint thinner and yeah.
making these concoctions, and that's his like alcohol, and
Wow.
it's basically a character study, man. It's basically him put in the world, and they're showing his life after this war, and he meets up with a very charismatic man through insane means. He kind of just sneaks onto a boat.
He finds himself at a low point, and we've seen him
very low.
sort of, he has a couple of odd jobs along the way. You see that he's not like unemployable, but he's got very self-defeating tendencies.
So I think that at the heart of it, it's a character study of what it is that we do to people, and who we give them a task, you throw them to the war, and then it manufactures these very broken people, and then we just throw them into society. We don't give them any extra opportunity, any help, really, and then just kind of say, live like you lived before.
Yeah.
And that's very weird. And you're seeing this guy kind of adjust. I mean, sure, he's troubled, but was he like that before? You kind of don't know.
Well, you get the sense that he was always a little bit troubled, but more so you sort of see what sort of person might be drawn to this charismatic figure. And then you also see kind of how, and that's maybe the surprise to me, was how much it was also about how this charismatic figure kind of needs this kind of other side of the coin. Like Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, Lancaster Dodd, the master of the title,
Right.
Although the title also kind of refers more to just the concept of a master. I mean, in the movie, it seems like they get at that point that whoever you are, you may not think you serve anybody, but you serve somebody.
He serves, yeah.
You know, but Philip Seymour Hoffman's character is definitely this guy who's full of all this bluster. And when he gets in front of a crowd, he becomes, you know, this other sort of person. But it's quite apparent from the beginning that when he meets Freddie Quell, he's not really using him. He seems kind of like he uses him in a sense, but more so he just wants him around him. It's like a friendship that borders on an almost like, it's like a platonic romance in a lot of ways. Like it never gets into anything strictly homoerotic, but there is this friendship between these two men that is, you know, what you were saying. It's a character study kind of about these two men and how they're drawn to each other and kind of what happens when they're in each other's lives. Yeah. And it pretty much is the story of their time together.
I think that they were perfect as friends for a very long time, I guess.
Yeah, for that window of time, right?
Yeah, because of the big contrast in their roles, they felt like their roles in life. So Philip Seymour Hoffman had this group that he had to appease through his teachings. And there's a bit of restraint that has to be exercised. And he meets this guy that's the complete opposite, that speaks his mind, says whatever he feels, and it impresses him in a way. Like he sees how weird he is, but he respects it. But I think that the interesting part about it is he only really wanted one thing from him, and that was his undivided attention. And as you learn really kind of midway through the movie, that's kind of their fighting point. Like, you know, are you going to commit to this idea?
Yeah.
Are you going to be here? You know what I mean? Are you gonna be around me? Are you gonna not do some of the things that you're doing?
Even though he sort of seems to want, like, for instance, when he meets him, he's got a flask of that. Freddie's got a flask of his hooch that he's mixed up on him, and we know Philip Seymour Hoffman has, he drinks it and he likes it. So he's on one side, he's encouraging him to better himself, and on the other side, he's coming to him and saying, "Can I get some more of that delightful potion that you make?" That kind of thing. So there's definitely a bit of that. You know, even the master, like you said, Ronald, it's like he wants to be more like Freddie, but he kind of knows he can't. But rather than there being all this angst about him trying to be what he can't, he stays kind of in his role, but he definitely keeps Freddie around. I mean, he just seems to like having him with him, even though he knows he might do something or say something crazy, you know?
And there are parts, if you listen to kind of the language between them, where he calls him an animal. Yeah. He calls him, and that's weird. Like, I didn't think about how much that applied to the title Master. Like, there's like this. Yeah. He tried to tame him. He legitimately tried to tame him through therapy, through these ideas that he had.
And even in his teachings, I don't know if you remember that part where you hear a bit of his recording of his teachings. He says, mankind is not an animal. We're above that crowd. Right. And so he repeatedly kind of, after knowing he thinks that, he also kind of almost admires Freddie, but also obviously wants him to control his kind of animal side.
There's a thing too, character study thing that I was thinking about too. Like, I think that we try to dignify things that too much almost. And sometimes when it comes down to it, physicality and all that stuff really still comes into play. Like, I know it's like a weird thing, but like people say, you know, I think that hitting somebody is a barbaric thing. But some of those scenes, you couldn't do anything but hit a person.
Well, in a sense, like, there's a lot of like slapping and there's some punching, but I would say that for a Paul Thomas Anderson film, the violence that you sort of expect, the kind of brutal explosions of violence that kind of resolve so many of his movies, are either offstage or downplayed, or it's different. It's more of an emotional violence in this movie, but the threat of something terrible happening was present throughout.
I think physical violence, a lot of the times in movies like There Will Be Blood, didn't shake me up as much as this did. The emotional violence is a heavier thing because I would agree. It'd be really calm, and then you'd see Freddie in the corner, you're like, oh God, he's going to do something insane.
And usually Freddie would do something funny. Like, I found myself laughing at that character, not just at the performance, but laughing at what that character thinks is funny in the moment. Like, he does some things because he can't help himself, and I was amused with. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm secretly too much like Freddie Quell.
Really, I mean, like, he jerked off on the beach by himself, like in public. Like, he was an out of control person, and
There's one other thing, and this is like 20 seconds into the film, Steve. So, I'm spoiling the first 20 seconds of the film
Thanks,
for you.
man.
There's a scene, quick thing, where he's chopping up coconuts on the beach, and he's got his machete, and he's just sitting there doing it. And at one point, he like takes a whack at. That was the sound effect of the.
Yeah, that's good.
He takes a chunk out of a coconut, and then he like positions his machete, and then he like slides his hand over the top of the coconut, right where he was just slicing, and then kind of brings the machete down and just stops short of hitting his hand, and then kind of goes back to what he was doing. And so in the briefest seconds at the beginning of the movie, you realize this guy could do something really self-destructive, but just in that moment, you kind of see his mental state, almost like at every moment he's considering doing the most inappropriate thing. And I have to say, I have that voice inside me. It was great to see a movie that really deals with this type of individual. I think we all have that moment where you think the funniest thing to say is the most inappropriate thing, or the most interesting thing to do would be technically the worst thing you could do at that moment. And if you have this little voice in your head sometimes.
And he was like that.
He doesn't seem to have any barriers set up around that voice.
That whole scene was really cool because it showed him by himself.
Yeah.
And then that was a scene right after it, closely related. Yeah. Where there's like a sand lady they created, and he gets down on it and starts like having sex, simulating sex. And it was really funny.
For about 10 seconds.
Yeah, and then it just keeps going on and on and on. And then that's essentially how all of his interactions are in the movie. Very excessive, crazy intense. And Joaquin Phoenix, and him and Philip Seymour Hoffman, all their scenes were like really good, sometimes really hard to watch. Right. Because it all had to do with just kind of the stirring of emotions. Like,
and that scene where he gives him the processing, and we kind of get a little bit of the first time we really get Freddy kind of letting down his guard. Mm-hmm. He's not cynical about what Lancaster Dodd is trying to take him through. I mean, like, again, even though he's this weird outsider guy, when he gets involved in this cult, he doesn't totally buy into it, but he doesn't fake it either. And so there's a few scenes where we really get to the heart, and it was just two actors across the table from each other. So I guess what I'm saying, Steve, is I like it. I like it. It's pretty good. You should go see it.
Yeah, all right, there you go. In a nutshell.
Very good movie.
I hear a lot of people saying, I don't know if I liked it, but it was a great movie.
Yeah, I mean? That's what I was going to say. I've heard that a lot. Like, a lot of reviews that I've read and even some ratings I've seen online seems to be like, that's what a lot of it is. It's either they loved it or hated it, but there's a lot of that. I don't know if I liked it, but it was like gorgeous, or the acting is really great. So you referenced it earlier, and I was going to ask both of you. I mean, having not seen it still,
the fart joke?
No, not the fart joke. We've already discussed that. I knew about that before Ryan even realized what you were talking about, so I would like to point that out. And I haven't even seen the movie.
Fart joke.
Yeah, fart joke. But you kind of touched on it a little bit, John. But so you see Lancaster's character as the master. Mm-hmm. Okay, can you guys talk about that a little more? I mean, because I've read some reviews which kind of go the other way.
It kind of goes back and forth.
It's a weird thing. Yeah, it goes back and forth. And I think that with anybody in a position of power, particularly people that have kind of set themselves up to be that way, he takes power in the places that he can. Right. You know what I mean? And he loses it in the places that he can. He can't control him. Mm-hmm. But the places that he can, like, for example, there's a scene where he's questioned by the people that he can control or have some sort of impact on the dynamic of the conversation, he changes it. But it's
almost like you continually see him retreating to these zones where he does have complete control.
Right. Sure. And then when he has the conversations with Freddy, where he can't necessarily do much about this
you naughty boy, you naughty boy.
Yeah. Oh man. There's a scene that's so intense to me.
Can you just drop a one-word reference on those?
The prison scene.
Oh yeah.
The prison scene is super duper intense. Definitely one of the best movies I've seen this year. Will it be my movie of the year? I don't know, but it's up there. Definitely up there. So yeah, not the best movie though.
I would say it's a contender for me, but I would have to really look at everything and figure it out. I just don't think that anybody else makes movies like this right now. No. Like, I don't think this movie in 20 years will look like it was shot in 2012. I think it looks almost like it was somehow they transported modern cameras back to 1950 and shot it then. I mean, I just don't think people create images that are as rich as what he... I mean, I'm not trying to make it sound like he's the only director, but I mean, the rhythms of it are odd, but right down to the way the music interacts with the images, it's not your usual... like, you don't cut to a montage where everything's edited to the rhythm of a song. You have like these weird atonal rumblings, and then some kind of pretty strings come in, and it's a montage that kind of, you know, there's a lot of like fading from one scene to the next and time passing. It's put together in a way that just not a lot of directors try to put things together. So in that sense, I think it's very singular. Right. What is your favorite of the year so far? Or you don't want to go ahead and give us a clue.
Beast of the Southern
Wild. Okay. That's a good clue.
That's it right now.
So wait, which is it then? That the clue is Beast of the Southern Wild. I've got this.
So yeah, that's my favorite one so far.
All right.
I mean, because that's one of those movies like, when I see it years from now,
was that the Five Goes West?
Yeah, Five Goes West.
That was the Five Goes West of movies. So
God, now I get to talk a little bit.
Hell yeah!
One movie that I did see, and I know that we all saw it, so we can all kind of chime in now.
Oh, yeah.
Was Rian Johnson's Looper.
Rian Johnson, Beast,
Brick,
Beast.
Brothers. What's the other one? Brothers Bloom.
Beast.
Yeah. So this is
also he's directed a few episodes of Breaking Bad. Ronald,
right?
You're a fan.
Crazy.
I think Rian Johnson's probably one of the most well-deserved, attention, anything he gets in terms of any of the up-and-coming directors of the past 5 years.
I think that he does well with those kind of fractured stories where it's very like what's revealed in each shot and every scene is very specific, and it's like a puzzle movie.
And you kind of are putting some of it together yourself.
Yeah.
But so Looper, it's out in theaters now. But basically, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Bruce Willis, Emily Blunt.
Was that Joseph Gordon-Levitt or was that Bruce Willis as a young man?
I don't know.
I don't remember Bruce Willis's eyebrows looking so weirdly stuck on.
I guess he does look a little like him. I don't know. Everybody, when I first saw the trailer, a lot of my friends were like, "Oh my god, he looks just like him," and I was like, "Yeah, I guess."
Well, there would be some shots where he did. I thought that was one of the hardest things the movie had to get past was the fact that the lead star did have a slightly Klingon appearance for the whole movie. I mean, there was something kind of off-putting about it, but.
I guess the excuse also is that he's on drugs.
Yeah.
Too. Like, it's like that kind of gaunt.
I know when I do drugs, my face looks like latex applications.
Pulls real tight.
Right.
No, but I do think that the smirk and the sort of the way he kind of purses his lips and would squint. I felt like Joseph Gordon-Levitt turned in another one of his likable performances, and he seemed to be having a lot of fun, kind of doing a riff on Bruce Willis's all of his little actorly ticks, which is funny. Bruce Willis is a pretty laconic actor. Like Bruce Willis, if they talk about actors sleepwalking through roles, he is definitely an actor that does as little as is required in a lot of movies. I mean, he's good in a lot of things, but you know what I mean. So there's not a lot to imitate with Bruce Willis.
Right.
So I was kind of
pretty good in this.
I thought I was well. In this one, he seemed like he arrived wanting to act.
I think it's
I like a lot of his movies a lot. I'm a Bruce Willis fan, but I just think he's one of those people who has done so many movies, and occasionally you'll see one and you'll just be like, man, he's barely even enunciating words.
Bruce Willis does sci-fi well, man.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, let's think of him like 12 Monkeys was good.
Fifth Element. I fucking love that movie. And then I think it's just that idea of like when you have such a kind of rich sort of idea, you're a little more enthusiastic about it. I feel like a lot of movies that get made now are just very like cut and dry, paper thin.
So talk about the idea. I mean, the idea behind this film.
Which again, what you get from the trailers, which is maybe the covers about the first. Right. In fact, I would say we all liked this movie, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we would recommend seeing it. If you are listening to this and you don't want to have it spoiled, you can just hit pause. You can come back to this very moment after you've seen the movie.
Yeah.
Because in order to talk about it, the plot, a little bit. There's a few things that go beyond what you know in the trailer that are worth talking about, and I just don't think we don't want to ruin it for any virgin ears out there. But
so in 2072, the mob kills people just like they do now. But the deal is, in 2072...
2074.
It's 2074?
Yeah.
It was, about 30 years in the future from 44.
Yeah.
Oh. Are you sure?
Positive.
Kansas, 2044. I remember that.
30 years in the future.
IMDb, for some reason, put 2072.
That's the kind of thing I write down now that I'm taking notes.
Regardless.
Anyway, so
in the future.
Give or take.
Give or
70s.
take. Yeah. They're able to track bodies, basically. And because of that, the mob cannot kill people in that time. So what they
get rid of them as easy as
they could. It is 72.
It's 2044.
No.
He says 30 years in the future.
Right. He's in the future, but we're talking about further into the future. I know this is real weird.
No, 2044.
No, 27. This is actually true. In 2072.
It's 74.
No.
It is. No. Let me just have one sentence 74. Real quick. 2044,
Yeah.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt is there to kill his future self.
That's IMDb.
And that is 30 years after their loop is closed. So 2074 would be your math.
So explain it.
So in here's maybe this
is going to be this whole episode. Anytime you talk about time travel, it just becomes three people talking over one another.
I
you know
just
what we need
that.
is ourselves from 20 years in the future to come back and explain it.
Yeah.
No, but
regardless
of
in the story, time travel is invented. We pick up with the story at a point where time travel hasn't been invented yet, but in the future it has, and they quickly locked the technology down. Like it's not something people use, and that's kind of a conceit the movie has. There's a few things that seem like this thing happened. We thought it was going to be the next big thing, but for whatever reason, it's not. But so time travel, they've begun to use it in this, as we were saying before, since it's hard to dispose of a body in the future because of crime detection techniques, and there's supposed to be some kind of way to track a body. What they do is they send the body back through time to be disposed of.
I mean, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Joe, his character is a looper. I mean, he's this is an employment structure that the mob from the future, from 2070, whatever you want to call it, has set up this system where they actually send somebody back from 2070, whatever, to control these loopers in 2044. And these men basically are there to receive these bodies coming back from the mob, to dispose of them, collect their winnings or their earnings, and, live this life of, excess drugs, like you said, he takes. There's, the one little caveat to their job is that eventually what they start to see is that the future version of themselves is sent back as well. And when they off these individuals immediately, they collect the money off their back. Like I said, usually it's silver. And when they go to do this and they find gold, they know that was the future version of themselves. And that's what they call closing their loop. And they basically take that gold and they get to live their next 30 years knowing that's the point that they would be sent back and killed. And that future piece, the 2070, their body will never be found and basically is nowhere to be found. That's the general idea of the movie. I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but Paul Dano is in this movie too, who was, we talked about.
The movie picks up with a few characters where it seems like this idea of closing your loop, which is what they call it when you're present, when you have to kill your future self. And then you retrieve the gold, so you're kind of off the job. You just disappear and go live a happy life. But you tend to see that these guys live like a hedonistic life. They don't really feel connected to anything because they know they're going to die. But they have all this money, so it seems like a trade. But it seems like it's happening to a lot of Joe's friends.
A lot more rapidly.
More so often than used to happen. And so you sort of get the sense that he sees everybody's being asked to close their loop, and they're kind of winnowing down all of these loopers. And that's kind of where the real plot of the story kicks in, is just with this notion that for some reason someone in the future is doing away with more loopers than used to happen. And then it starts to happen to his friend Seth, who I can just say poor Seth.
Yeah, really, man. Poor guy.
There's a gruesome fucking scene. You want to talk a little bit about poor Seth?
Yeah. So,
well, first off, Joe gives him up. Let's just point that out.
Yeah, he doesn't want to bite the hand that feeds him, and that's essentially what it is. Like, he sees, like, Abe is the leader. He kind of throws at him that, I got you into this lifestyle. You're poor, and I saw you're going to be a terrible person, and I got you into this life. You're making money. You're doing well. Just tell me where he is. So there's a scene where future Seth gets caught, and you're seeing Seth. Present day Seth.
Well, you mean
no, the other way.
Yeah, present day.
Day Seth gets caught, and you see the future Seth trying. To drive the car.
I'm sorry, it's the other way around. Okay, so, and what's happening is you're seeing older Seth get beat up a little bit. It's like a couple punches at first, and then things start getting broken. Then things start getting cut off. And then you're like, oh my God, this guy's getting murdered in front of you.
Yeah, the way they used the time travel, I mean, I just thought that was one of the cleverest uses of time travel in the story, but also completely gruesome, because what we're seeing is, as something presumably happens to present day Seth, wherever they've captured him, presumably, they're torturing him. And as they, like, say, cut a finger off of him, future Seth, who's 30 years older, looks down and sees, like, like the digit's gone, and it's like scarred over, as though that he's had that wound for 30 years. And I thought that malleable effect of that intervening 30 years, the way that changes based on what happens in the present. It's the old sort of sci-fi premise of like it kind of messes with the timeline to have two versions of the same person in the one moment. This movie I feel like makes that much more concrete.
Yeah, there's a couple things I think are really cool about the movie, and I guess we talked about this a little bit too. First thing, I didn't talk to him about, but basically the idea that he's living this simple life. It's presented very nicely, and then Abe is presented like this very nice leader, and then it gets very nasty very quickly when you go outside of what you're supposed to do, which I think is incredible because that's a lot of how anything bad is presented in real life. Then the other thing is the explanation of time or the lack thereof that makes the movie so beautiful. There are a lot of scenes where the idea of time travel comes up and they just say, oh, it's too complicated. I'm not going to explain it. Just know that this affects this. That's it.
Yeah.
And that open dispelling anything outside of what they're telling you makes this movie so easy to follow. That's kind of weird. You think, oh man, maybe other movies about time travel have been shitty. And maybe they should have simplified it this way so that you can see.
Well, I think that you almost needed that history of time travel movies in your head so that when that scene comes up and the questions come up and basically there's a couple of ways that different characters say it, but the notion gets put across of like, don't question it. This is the way it works. This is the way we're going to do it. Don't go outside this. And it's almost like you see it as, well, don't go outside this for the usual reasons in time travel because, you know, the butterfly effect of you do one thing and it could change all this other stuff.
Right.
But there's also this sense that they're trying to, it's a boss telling an employee basically don't ask questions. This is just what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And so that organization, which starts off seeming like a system that might kind of work, it ends up, I mean, it's not really apparent until midway in that there's another force in the future. It's not just an extension of his current bosses. And so the real threat is coming from kind of an unseen person that we don't know anything about until, you know, halfway into the movie or more, I would say. Or maybe round about halfway.
Yeah, about halfway.
Because Abe, who seems benevolent at first and then kind of a threat, he is sort of the big bad guy, but he's not really the biggest concern that the characters have, you know. Yeah. And Jeff Daniels it was great to see him play a character with some real menace.
Yeah, because it doesn't happen very often.
I think I definitely agree with you. I do like that. You know, there wasn't a whole lot of explanation to the whole idea of time travel. You basically just commit to it and accept that it works. I think that also kind of leaves a little bit too much in terms of room for there to be, I guess, some plot holes. Yeah. You know, I think when we talk about the scene with Seth and you start talking about the paradox and, you know, the different timelines that we are seeing, you know, when we talk about Seth being basically mutilated and how it affects the guy that came back, the future self, and see that happen. I mean, you kind of get the sense that there is a timeline. You know, it's like that one. But then through the rest of the film, there are certain events that happen that make you you have to think that there's multiple timelines. Right. That things, you know, offshoot of, you know, or
at least different possibilities that are sort of coexisting
at the same time. And that's kind of like, I think a lot of things I've seen and heard and talked with some people about that have seen it, that might have been an issue. I think if anything, that was my only issue. But that said, I think the reason and what I like about it, that they put that out there in the film, they say that we're not explaining this because the reality is, and we talked about this before we recorded this podcast, time travel really isn't what this movie's about. Yeah. Right. You know what I mean? It's a device that sets up what we're really supposed to be understanding about this movie, which I think is really cool because one, the studio behind this did not really promote it at all in the marketing for the movie. It was a time travel action adventure sci-fi film. But then, like John said, halfway through it, you get into it and you're introduced finally to, where's Emily Blunt? Oh, there she is. She's at a farmhouse. She's just, you know, mother with a son living in the middle of a cornfield. And you're like, oh, wow, where does this...
Just her kid, and then some mute guy who walks around at night with a sandwich
holding a sign.
On.
Yeah, like some guy from the city wandering into this. And that's something cool, too. It's like it's in this Kansas area where somehow you get from this Kansas field so quickly to the city in a future where the suburbs and, you know, the metro, it's there. They touch very easily, which I thought was cool, but that's on the side. But
the farm shift... I could see how that would be hard for some people. You know what I mean? Because at the heart of it, in the beginning, it just seems like a matrixy sort of tone to it, and then it just gets very different, and that it changes a lot. So I could see how some people wouldn't really be receptive to that.
Well, that shift in the plot also comes pretty much at the same time that we sort of learn that the Bruce Willis character's goals are maybe not something we can fully get behind, like what he's trying to do. So you're if you went into this movie wanting to see those two guys team up and try to beat the future or like get out of the situation they were in, it's really not about that. It's much more about them having totally different paths and kind of wanting the same. Like they both have something slightly noble about what they want, but you know, in the course of the story, it's hard not to start rooting more for young Joe to kind of, you know, change the future.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens. There's a lot of shift where you like think, oh, okay, then he's a good guy.
There's a point of no return for Bruce Willis's character.
Oh yeah, kids being hurt. I'm not against it. I'm not against it in movies.
I'm not against it, but I do think that when a movie maker throws that in, they're
clearly trying to like make this person a villain.
They not even that, but they know what they're doing. They know they're getting risky. What I find about putting kids in jeopardy, it feels cheap. But I agree with you. I think sometimes it's a way a movie to let you know, well, this movie's going to go, you know, it's like all rules are off. Once a bad thing happens to a kid, sometimes a dog, like it's a little bit of a cheap trick, but it definitely makes you go, all right, they're not playing around.
But sometimes it can be done very, very cheaply. Like but I feel like in this movie, it's not done. It's done very well because I mean, it's the motivation for why old Joe is doing what he's doing, you know, and whether it's warranted or not, and all his information is pretty questionable that he comes back with. You know, it's kind of like, I guess he's on to something, you know, and young Joe has a piece of the puzzle that he's holding on to. So you kind of go with it and you're like, okay, there is something there. But I mean, I think the scene that we're talking about is really powerful because we do realize, wow, even old Joe coming back and lecturing young Joe about change this, change that. There's things that are more important in life. And he comes back with a noble cause. He loses something and he wants to change it. We find out that he actually comes back on his own free will. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's up for discussion. But his motivation is this scene with the first scene that we see with the kid. And when we see that scene, you realize, like, even though he's lectured and he's got this mighty task at hand to change his future in some way, it's not something that you really want to get behind, you know. It's something that makes, I think, young Joe realize, like, okay, well, that is maybe why I need to change something, not just because you're telling me.
That's true.
You know, this is what you feel and what you experience. Like, he's able to see the future version of himself making that mistake or making that extreme decision, you know, and you kind of go with that. And I think I love that there wasn't really like a true hero in the movie. I mean, there's a lot of questions you'd ask about what anybody in the movie's doing. Even the mother, you know, and some of the decision that she's deciding for her son, who obviously the young boy named Sid, who that kid that played was amazing.
I'm a fan of when the screen goes black and you're actually left still kind of processing what's going on.
Agreed.
And this was a great example of that. And plus, it's an original story, not a remake, not a sequel.
Seriously.
You know,
it's good to see that, especially now, man. Especially now.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. I would definitely recommend checking out Looper.
Same.
I feel like in terms of originality, and I mean, I'm a big fan of Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I really like Rian Johnson. I loved Brick when it came out. A very different film, but I mean, a big fan of his work, and I kind of am very excited to see. It's really cool. Like I kind of was mentioning before, it's kind of nice to see him working in a studio system. I mean, I'm not about the idea of like selling out to a studio, because I don't feel like this film in any means makes me feel like he sold out anything. I feel like a great story and some storytelling and some visual flair that this guy has, you know, in his head can get to a larger audience with this.
A sign of a good movie is if you take somebody that's in a normal story supposed to be an awful person, and you're rooting for him. That's a sign of a good story. He's a killer.
I don't know, Looper, check it out.
One question, just as sort of a what do you guys think, puzzling it out kind of question. Is Kid Blue the child version of Abe?
I think so.
They both have a little Southern twang. The relationship there is very.
He was a pretty big screw up,
and there's a father figure thing going on that we don't quite understand. And it seems at a couple points like Kid Blue is about to be.
He's like, oh boy, I gotta, and then he would let him go. Like that was.
And I think also with Kid Blue, I like the way they set him up as kind of a doofus, but he kept coming back. There is one other little plot hole that I guess I would just address with you guys. do you think that the reason why all that awful stuff happened to Seth, instead of just killing him, because clearly they could just kill a guy and his future self would just disappear. Do you think that's a product of Kid Blue being a sadistic fuck, and that's the way he chose to do it? Because it seems obvious from events later in the film that if they wanted to get rid of the future self, all they had to do was capture Seth and kill him, and then his future self would disappear. So do you think that's like, because that didn't seem like the way the organization worked. Like that was like unusually vicious. And we do see that Kid Blue is like sadistic. Like
but you also wonder, I think yes to the question, but I think it's also like Abe's the one that says, get the doctor. So you almost wonder like Abe has that same sadistic nature because it is him.
Right.
There's obviously an easier means to right this wrong, and he decided to kind of have a little fun with it.
It was cool. It was a really cool movie.
But
so.
check it out. Looper's in theaters. I would. As always, you can check out the websites, movieschmovie.net. We continue to throw trailers and sometimes movies that we don't get to review in the podcast that we kind of see as a one-off. We throw up there, and also some news items. But we have the movieschmovie@gmail.com for any suggestions, feedback, questions. And then, the most important thing is probably the iTunes,
Yep.
iTunes podcast, just subscribe, rate it, star it, do whatever you can to help us kind of get it on the list of search results.
Don't be a dick about it. Just do it. Don't do it.
And then Mixcloud as well.
Don't act like you're going to do it. And, don't do that. Don't do that to us. Because we will find you. And we will kill you.
Do you have people?
Wow.
Do you have, Ronald, you're saying that if anyone is listening to this and they either are listening and enjoying and they don't intend to leave a review, or if they do intend to leave a negative review, that someone is looking for them already.
Yep. Flim-flamming, a.k.a. dicking around, a.k.a. fucking around, whatever you want to call it. They're doing it right now. And there's somebody there, a looper.
The future version of yourself that knew that they didn't leave the review.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a looper and Liam Neeson team.
From Taken?
Yep.
Oh, Taken 2. You got that coming out?
Yeah, Taken 2.
I don't care.
I don't either.
Me either.
It's like it used to be.
Did you sit in Taken?
Well, I think it used to be like it's surprising and kind of cool to see Liam Neeson in that type of role.
Right.
But now it's no surprise. Once you fought wolves, I don't think that you can go back to
wolves. You got wolves, alien battleships or whatever they are. Yeah. He was in the A-Team. I mean, he's just gone deep into the action. Crap.
He was also in both of the Clash of the Titans or the Clash of the Titans and Wrath of the Titans.
He released the Kraken.
Yeah, he released the Kraken.
Released the Kraken.
Well, hit us up on the sites. Make sure if you're not already subscribed, and this is the first time listening, please do. And if you always listen to us, thank you so much. And, continue to tell people to check us out.
Thank you.
It's much appreciated. And as always, you've made my day. My day. I don't know about theirs.
My day was improved by this experience.
Yeah,
too.
good.
Man, this was needed. I needed to talk about movies with my friends. Be my friends.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later. Thanks a lot.
Bye.